I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:50 p.m. Jump into roll call.
5:50.
Eric Bennett. Here. Haley Bergeron. Joey Bryant.
Here.
Maddie Krall. Julia Felici.
Here.
Shelby Hamblin.
Here.
Alex Horning.
Here.
Dr. Martin Kennedy. Here. Lacey Lampkins.
Here.
Stephanie Trutchell.
Here.
Nay Skiles.
Here.
Patrick Stanton. Jeanette Webster.
Here.
Moving into the approval of this week's agenda. If you could review that for a minute. And I'd like to entertain a motion to approve this week's agenda.
So moved.
Alex moves, Eric seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving into the approval of last week's minutes. If you could review that, please. And I'd like to entertain a motion to approve last week's minutes.
So moved.
Alex moves, Stephanie seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to section 6 for reports. I don't have any reports.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess we're just bringing up the supplemental budget. That was from what the student government voiced last meeting. So currently right now there's $43,708.08 in the supplemental budget. And the student government has put their voice in to the committee and basically voicing to increase it by $50,000.
How's the head count?
The head count, it is lower than what we had budgeted for. However, in this situation, I think $50,000 is appropriate to increase. It just might, we'll need to revisit the spring quarter and their suggestion there.
Eric?
Is this something that we should motion on under new business? Or can we do it now?
We can, yes. Since there was not a motion or anything on here, it's really a discussion right now, but if someone on the committee wants to make a motion to do that, mostly we weren't putting forward that. But and just as an update, beyond what's up here, we have not received any other supplemental requests so far. But again, just planning and anticipating ahead of time, so.
Well, I would like to make a motion to increase the supplemental budget by $50,000.
Second.
There's a motion on the table for $50,000. Alex seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Any further reports?
No.
Moving into section 7, public comment first call. Is there any public comment at this time? Yes.
So we were the two of the three who went to the Phi Alpha Theta National Conference in New Orleans, and we just thought we'd stop by and thank you for funding it. It was the first time I had a chance to present my paper, and it was actually really exciting, and I realized that I had it a lot more put together than I thought I did, so that was great. And we were also able to meet with other students and talk to them about similar research that we were doing, which was really cool to talk to people from all over.
Yeah, and so the networking opportunities were great. The conference itself was really fun, and we got to hear a lot of great presentations. And now coming back, I know I'm a TA in a class, and I've been able to add stuff from the trip already, and incorporating pictures and stories and stuff, so that's been really neat. And we're also planning on talking to the History Club at some point too about the trip. So yeah, thank you very much for providing that funding. It was a great opportunity.
Great to hear. Thank you.
13.
Any further public comment? Joey.
This isn't public comment, but I just realized we're going to talk about this in the advisor piece. My plan is, and again, just as a reminder of our bylaws, is that there is an attendance requirement based on the fact that we do need quorum to meet that, and especially with us, since Faculty Senate has still not appointed our other 2 faculty members, we're already down 2 voting members, but we're still held to that level to have quorum. As I am planning on having a conversation with one of our members who has been absent, and then we'll be following up with Alex as our exec VP who does the appointments on the committees, and we'll report back to you all once that conversation decision has been made. I don't know if there's questions or discussion.
Yes.
So, if this said person is no longer on our board, then
Yep.
do we just bring someone else on as if
Alex.
so
Yeah.
Alex, so you seek someone out? Or are they
I already have a couple people
Okay,
that have
okay.
expressed interest.
okay?
This is a big budget, and there are a lot of finance people that
Okay.
are really interested
Interested.
in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my question. Thank
Mhm.
you.
It would go through the normal appointment
Okay.
through student government. Yeah.
I didn't know, so that late in the game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No worries.
Thank you, Joy.
Yep.
Moving, any further public comment? Seeing none, moving into section 8, old business, voting on supplemental funding request 1819, the AMA International Collegiate Conference in the amount of $18,731.41. Table's open for discussion. Eric.
Correction is 14 cents.
Oh, sorry, 14 cents.
You get me where I was like, isn't that what it? You're correct. What he said. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because there was the request, just as a reminder, we tabled this from last week to open up because there were questions that were presented, and I believe that they are here in response. So if we want to allow them, if you want to recognize them to be able to respond.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, hopefully everyone's having a great quarter. Everyone's doing fine. Thank you, faculty, students. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for allowing us to come back. Clear up any questions you may have.
Please, yeah, or clear anything up. We'll be able to you.
So my first question was, why did you choose 18? Because I know you had a point system, and what happened to that?
So the way our point system works is it shows how much activity we have from each member, and basically 1 point equals 1 meeting. And we do our fundraiser, like we were at the Gorge, Watershed, other various events. Those that work at that earn more points, just because that is providing us, the cash flow that we have that we're trying to save through our account balance. But the way that works is that just gives us a ranking of all of our students, so that way we know, hey, for decision making, if we've got to do anything, these are our top students that have performed the best, so they can as well show us to other opportunities. So.
Also, for example, like, let's say another club, they said we're taking 20 people, but budget only allows for 15. That point system will pretty much just indicate which are the 15 deserved individuals to go. That's what we try to promote as a club. So like, you're earning your spot. It's not like you're chosen, you're earning it.
One more. But last time you were here, you said everyone just kind of raised their hand and said who wanted to go. So it seems like the point system, you're not using it anymore.
So no. The way we did that is we opened it, we wanted everyone to come, because our goal is to provide everyone that opportunity. We don't want to tell people that are brand new to this club that this isn't an opportunity for you yet. We wanted to let them all, we wanted to give them all an opportunity fairly. And then, as this process goes on, depending on funding and, what we had in our account balance, it showed that, we're going to have to work to see what we can take. But
Yeah, our point system would start kicking in when we realize, like, if we can't take 18, we take less, then we'll use our point system based on those 18 individuals.
Okay.
Alex.
Ooh, they answered the question, actually.
Jeanette.
I'm so sorry. I may be wrong, but so you're asking for more in advance before you decide officially who you're taking? Is that what I'm understanding?
No,
Sorry.
basically we need to know how much our budget would be, so we know exactly how much people we can take. And I already have a grid set up on, let's say per money per individual. Like, each person, it would cost $1,250 so, and then it goes down the list to 18 people. So the number we have towards funding, we'll know right there how much people we can take. Does that answer your question?
Kind of.
Or is there anything else?
Well,
I think what he's trying to say is they're asking for 18, but if you, for 18 people, and so if you guys change that amount that you award to them,
Then they'll
then it
adjust.
would,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of more
That's
for us, just
what I was
after the
asking.
fact. So that way, your guys' decision isn't affected by what's going on. We'll take care of what we have to do. So
Yeah.
for those students.
Also, so are you guys getting upfronted the money from College of Business, and then this S&A committee funds, would we pay them back afterwards?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe it's the management and marketing department that's gonna front us the money.
Yep, and so just to clarify that, I actually have, I've talked to their advisor and a couple of people, and so in order to eliminate the hardship on a student, the department is actually paying for it up front, but if this does get approved, Circuit County will be reimbursing that department. So there will actually be no additional funds from that department going towards them. They're just basically facilitating the travel coordinating costs.
And that would continue just the same way if we're not getting fully funded, if it's 12 people, the amount, we'd say 12, so that way it's not 18, that coverage of the 6 would be
Okay.
avoided.
Does that make sense?
Generally, yes, but I'm like trying to. I just have seen it done in a different way, and that's why it's confusing how this is working. But I think I'm catching the drift here.
I have another question based off that. So, if your department is fronting the money, are you guys being paid for by your department $18,000, and then whatever we decide to award you?
Opposite way around. It's depending on your guys' funding, your guys' decision. We're going to act on that. That's where our point system kicks in. We're same thing. If you give us less funding, we're going to take less students. Then that's the number we plan to present to that department.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Julia?
So what if we give you guys the money and then business fronts the money and then a student can't go?
We would make them pay that out of their own pocket. That way the money would have to come back towards the department. Question.
But if they don't have the money to begin with to go on this trip, how do we, if they all of a sudden can't go because of a test or something, that we expect them to pay, but they couldn't afford to pay in the first place?
This is where we would ask the dean if they can allow us to have permission slips to give to the teachers. Sort of I'm going to the U.S. Hispanic Leadership Institute in Chicago, and I already got letters of permission slips to give out to my teachers. I'm gonna be missing off the days, because this technically is a school event, so it's a valid excuse for missing a test or so.
7.
Did you say there's 11 seniors going, or do you remember the breakdown of seniors, juniors?
I believe there was about 12 seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And then 500 classmen and I think 1 freshman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, 600 classmen.
Yeah.
Alex?
Can we motion at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. I'd like to motion to approve the amount of $14,000 for the AMA International Conference for the Marketing Association.
Motion on the table for $14,000. Is there a second?
A second.
Stephanie seconds. Any discussion? Maddie?
Can I just ask where you got the number from? What you decided to cut?
For once,
Do you
this
want me
is
to-
just, oh, no. So, yeah, you guys are good. For once, this is just, we have it in our budget. 14,000 seems like a good number to get a good portion of the students to go, but it also puts a little bit of responsibility on the club to make sure that they are investing some of their own money as well if they want to take all 18 students to go.
Stephanie?
Can we do the math, and are we still cutting out food and ground transportation, all those things we used to cut with, I think would that be fair to keep doing that?
Well,
Even though we have the.
They have funding from other sources
Okay.
too, though. They have $1,200.
Shelby.
I think this is a question for them, real quick. So on the little sheet, and maybe this info has been updated, but it says funds from Academic Senate and Club Senate have been requested. Has those funds been committed? What's
We
the
got the
status of that?
1,500
From
as
SAS.
of last week, and
Okay.
I was told I can't get the meeting for the 2,000 because it's not in this current quarter, but I would get the meeting sometime in March.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Julia?
So Alex, is that number for taking 14 students, or is that how many students?
around, yeah.
Eric?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion and reduce that down to $12,000.
There's an amendment on the table for 12,000. Is there a second on that amendment? Maddie seconds. Any discussion on the amendment? Stephanie?
Is that for the 12 seniors specifically, or
Specifically sending the seniors to this conference.
with the?
Eric?
I guess it's maybe a question and a concern. So there's $8,000 in their club account, and I'm concerned that as far as I understand, they're not using any of that for this trip, and I'd like to know why.
Can I answer that question?
We have an
Yes.
amendment on the table. Should we be opening this up more?
So, you know how I asked for like 18,700 and so dollars? Well, that's because we wanted to have like our own. We wanted to have our own account to have money in it, because every year we waste all of it to go to a specific conference, and it's important to have a reserve account because we're still a growing club. We've been in the program for 4 years now as a club. So like we said 18,000, but if you lowered it, we would have to take money out from there so we can send all 18 people.
Lisa, did you?
I just have a question, or maybe a statement. If we start to get really specific on who can travel, it's going to be pretty logistically hard for Circuit County to manage that. So I just suggest that if we could maybe limit of like the exact people that would go, that would help us process.
You're saying.
So you just say like, we're giving you 12,000 overall instead of just saying, being specific about it?
Yeah, because it's hard for us to know like who those people might be, so they would have to be identified beforehand, and then we'd have to double check on that, and that's a little bit more complicated than just saying, and you could advise the club that, but as for Circuit County, for that approval of funds, it'd be difficult to know if those are seniors or not on our end.
Joy.
And just to add on, and I think you all know this, but also that we have the ability to give them the money. They can still bring 18 individuals with that and have it spread out across that, but for that sake. But knowing we still have an amendment on the table to vote on.
Any further discussion on the amendment for $12,000? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The discussion is now for $12,000 on the funding request.
Call the question?
Yes. Oh, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes in the amount of $12,000. Moving into section 9, new business, subsection A, supplemental funding request presentation 1822, Phi Alpha Theta Regional Conference in the amount of $4,179.
I just want to say thank you guys for your time, and we really appreciate this.
Thank you.
You're making a great difference to our club.
Thank you.
Enjoy the conference, my friend.
Hi, so I'm from the History Club, which is Phi Alpha Theta is associated with. You guys have heard a bit about it because of our national conference, which is earlier this month. So we have an opportunity to go to the regional conference, which is in April. The conference itself is the 20th and 21st of April. It's in Spokane. It's being hosted by Gonzaga this year. Kind of floats around depending on the university. But we would be traveling the 19th and the 21st there and back. So it's very similar to the national conference of presenting papers, listening to others, networking with students, professionals, faculty. It's also a good recruitment too for master's programs of getting students from undergrads for going to grad school and stuff. We've also won multiple awards the past couple of years for both graduate and undergraduate students, so it also puts the university's name out into the history field. And it's also more accessible to students than national because it's a lot more locally. So we're budgeting right now for taking 23 students and our advisors, so it's 24, but we won't know how many students until about March because the call for papers just went out. So you submit your abstract at the beginning of February, so we'll have a rough estimate then, and then your papers are in March, so there can be a change in numbers then too. So, any questions?
Is your advisor a professor or a student?
Yes, Dr. Brown.
Hi, I'm the advisor for History Club and Phi Alpha Theta.
I just asked. I don't think we can fund professors or teachers, right? We can't fund faculty.
That would be during discussion, though.
Oh, okay.
This is just
A question.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Any further questions for our presenters? Yes, Joey.
Are you all already on the docket to present before Club Senate and Academic Senate? Senate?
Academic Senate is next week and Club Senate, I believe will be next week, or we've submitted the paperwork, we just need to double check on which week exactly we're at. So.
Any further questions? Thank you. We'll be voting on this next week.
Thank you.
Moving into new business subsection B, decoupling the S&A from tuition discussion.
You want me to kick that off? All right, so basically here's what's going on. We have somebody that works for student government. Her name's Leah. She is our legislative liaison. She works in Olympia during this quarter. She's actually lobbying on behalf of students this year, and one of the bills that we are trying to pass is decoupling S&A from tuition. So as you all know, kind of the gist of how S&A and tuition work, one is related to academics, one is related to all the extracurricular activities that we do here on campus. Right now, they are currently coupled together, so if one goes up, the other has to go up by a certain amount, and if one goes down, the other goes down by a certain amount. The idea is if we need to do some kind of adjustment on one, we want to be able to do that without directly affecting the other. That way, we can either decrease the cost to students or increase only when we need it and exactly where we need it. So actually, as of either today or yesterday, that bill, which was originally just decoupling in total, was actually amended, and now it is, the idea is decouple it, but it can only go up by 4% total. So what they need from us and why we brought this up today is because in order to get support for this bill, what they asked was that we could have a letter sent to her that she could then put in front of our legislators to help support that bill so that they can kind of keep it going. It's already in second committee, I believe, and is going to hopefully be continuing to move on. So what I'm asking from you is whether or not you all or a few of you would be willing to sign a letter if I produced it expressing our support of this bill.
Yes.
I'd be willing to sign that.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll sign it.
Yep. All right. Fantastic. Then at our next meeting, I will have a letter drafted, or not drafted. I'll have a letter finished with signature spaces, and I can just give it to you.
Joey.
And what I would actually recommend, Alex, is to draft the letter, and then the committee itself can vote on putting it forward as an official document from the committee, and then it can be signed by, one, it's official and in the minutes, but then it would be signed by the committee itself. I do have a question. What was the intent or the rationale behind the capping it at a 4% increase?
So the whole idea was that they were worried, in the same way that there's a cap on tuition increase and decrease, is that if there's no cap, then 1 year you could have somebody come in and increase it by like 12% or something crazy. And so they wanted to have it that if you wanted to do an 8% increase, you would at least have to gradually implement over the course of 2 years.
Eric?
Who's sponsoring the bill? Is it in the House or is it in the Senate?
I do not know.
Senate and House.
I'm happy to bring Michael here next time to have a more in-depth discussion about it if you wish. I just didn't want to take up too much time.
Stephanie, do you have anything?
I don't remember.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? All right, seeing none, moving into section 10, other business communications received. Not received anything.
Nope. Me either.
Moving into section 11, public comment, second call. Any public comment at this time?
Last piece, I let you guys know last week that student government is proposing to increase the hours or extending the hours of the current officers. We announced that at our public meeting on Tuesday, so yesterday, and then either next week, hopefully next week, or the week after, we will be doing a presentation to you if it gets voted on at our next public meeting. So just giving you a heads up. Yes?
A question for you.
Yes.
Are they, when increasing the hours of the officers, are you then looking in the future for next school year to increase the number of employees in student government to match the increase of hours that you're paying? I don't know if that really matters.
I'm having trouble seeing the connection, but what the whole idea is that we have one of our student government officials, or whatever you want to call them, one of our members, she actually is getting internship credit, and so as part of that, she has to actually record every single hour that she works. Beginning of the quarter, she spent 60 hours working on a project in 2 weeks. Last week or the week before, she spent 35 hours working on a project, and this is not just this individual. She's the only one that actually records it, but we in general work far more than the 14 hours that we are allotted. So the idea is let's at least match a little bit more closely to what we're doing. And like I said, this is open for discussion. Like if you guys want to talk and say this is a bad idea, good idea now, or at our public meeting or whatever. Eric.
I think it's a great idea. I was just seeing if then you would need more people. But yeah.
Okay. No. Julia.
Thank you.
Is it for 20 hours?
So it is for 20 hours for the president and 19 hours for the VPs. And basically we are in our constitution and bylaws required to hold 14 office hours per week, but that doesn't include this S&A meeting for me. It doesn't include Club Senate for clubs. It doesn't include all of our extra meetings, all our extra events, all our extra interactions with students, including like just students picking our brain on the side of the wall or side of the street. So this is 14 hours, office hours, and then we would have 5 what are called miscellaneous hours that would include all the events and all the extras that we do.
Gina, did you have anything?
Yeah, it might not be an open discussion question, but I was just curious for my own understanding, if we raise the amount of hours that we allot, not that you guys don't do it, but how does that affect GPAs as well? So like, if do they have to uphold a certain GPA?
There is
to
already
work at a certain amount of hours, or
GPA that is not connected. However, being an officer, there is a minimum requirement GPA, and actually this year with our updating of the Constitution and bylaws, we're explaining that a little bit better and rewording that so it's a little easier to understand. But basically, the increase in hours is not increasing the actual amount of work we're doing.
No.
It's just paying for the extra work that we do.
No, I understand.
But yeah.
I was just curious if that was like a stipulation, like.
But no, we have a process that we're looking at, though. If a student government officer gets onto academic warning, which academic warning is you have below a 2.0, or 2.0 or below in a quarter, that they have to meet with the advisor as well as hold regular meetings and sign essentially a last chance agreement, which is I will get my grades up by the end of this quarter, or I realize I forfeit my position. If they don't do that, then the next quarter they are in academic probation, and that officially terminates them from office, in which case there's a procedure to get a replacement officer in that position.
Thank you.
Would this be started like spring quarter or right away after you vote on it, or next year?
As soon as we vote on it and it's approved in our constitution and bylaws, we would then do a base allocation, basic rework presentation with y'all to see, is this okay with y'all if we change how, I keep saying y'all, if we change how our fate or how our wages are being paid to the officers. If you all say yes, then it would be changed at basically our next pay period. At least that's my understanding of it.
Any further discussion on this?
Thank you so much.
Any further public comment at this time? Seeing none, moving into section 12, adjournment, I'd like to entertain a motion during this meeting.
So moved.
Alex moves, Eric seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? This meeting's adjourned at 6:19.